Hey guys, it's Stasha Erickson. I hope you're all doing well today. I know I haven't been making content for a very long time, and there was a few videos that I started within the last 5 or 6 months, but I didn't get a chance to finish them. And one of them was that I was going to read the Mandela Effect book that I wrote and published for all of you. And I think it was about 6 months ago. I read you the dedication and the introduction to the book. And at that point, I didn't even have a paperback copy in my presence, but now I have one here. And I want to continue to start reading the book for you. Now, on page 6 of the Mandela Effect book, Everything is Changing, there is a list of the Mandela Effect glitches that first started out the phenomena. Now, the first one was the book and the movie known as Interview with a Vampire is now Interview with the Vampire. Now, the children's book series, The Berenstain Bears, is now The Berenstain Bears. First one was with an EI, and now it's with an AI. Now, AI, I believe, has a lot to do with the Mandela Effect, and this is something that I didn't really put in the book so much, the first volume, but I do plan to get into that a little bit deeper in volume 2, because I think that artificial intelligence has a lot to do with the quantum changes that we're seeing. Now, Laurel and Hardy, this is another fine mess you've gotten us into, is now, this is another fine mess you've gotten me into. So us and me are very different. Me is also standing for Mandela Effect. Now, the TV show Sex in the City is now Sex and the City. Snow White, Mirror Mirror on the Wall, is now Magic Mirror on the Wall. The fast food restaurant Chick-fil-A with a CHIC is now Chick-fil-A with a CHICK. In the famous movie Star Wars, Luke, I am your father, is now No, I am your father. In the movie with Kevin Costner, Field of Dreams, it says, if you build it, they will come. But now it says, if you build it, he will come. We have to wonder who the infamous he is. Now, in Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, his opening song said, it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. But now it says, it's a beautiful day in this neighborhood. Now, the movie Jaws said, we're gonna need a bigger boat. But now it says, you're gonna need a bigger boat. In the movie Silence of the Lambs, Dr. Hannibal Lecter apparently never said, hello, Clarice. Forrest Gump, the movie, he used to say, Tom Hanks, life is like a box of chocolates. But now he says, life was like a box of chocolates. The building supply store that everyone knows as Home Depot is now known as the Home Depot. So that's the first list of glitches on page 6 of the book. Now we get to page 7. This is actually chapter 1 of the Mandela Effect book, Everything is Changing. Now, the smoking gun is the name of this chapter because this is the person that first reached out to me. It was a personal client of mine who experienced the Mandela Effect firsthand. And he had sent me an email, and I was so resonating with this email that it actually led me to do this entire book and go on this entire journey of learning about the Mandela Effect and researching it. So here we go. This was my smoking gun moment. July 31st, 2016. Good evening, Stasha. Within the past year or so, I've learned of something called the Mandela Effect. I understand that some of what I've looked up online are only false memories, but then again, maybe it's something else. Anyway, here is my story that I'd like to share with you. The year was 2008, and my daughter was 6 years old. After my daughter was born, my wife and I would take her to different places in the days around her birthday. from Quebec, Canada to Rochester, New York, and many other places. So it was in April of 2008, on my daughter's birthday, that we all took a day trip to the Strong Museum in Rochester, New York. The actual name is the Strong National Museum of Play, and a brief description from Wikipedia states, "The National Museum of Play is the only collections-based museum anywhere devoted solely to the study of play. And although it is a history museum, it has the interactive characteristics of a children's museum, making it the second largest intuition of that type in the United States." In short, it's a very cool children's museum with a ton of things for kids and parents to do and experience together. The day was a special one, but nothing felt or seemed out of the ordinary as we set out on this little day excursion. We got to the museum around noon on that day and proceeded to walk through a leisurely pace while looking and enjoying all of the various sets, exhibits, and displays. After 45 minutes or so, as my wife and daughter were preoccupied with a large-scale mock airplane cockpit playset, I walked ahead a little and entered a room featuring a rather large, extensive collection of artwork and material. When I first saw this exhibit, I was excited because as an artist, I loved seeing original artwork, especially that with iconic pop culture subject matter, in particular, comics and children's books. I immediately recognized what the issue was and found myself looking at the whimsical line work displayed on this piece of framed artwork that was hanging on the first wall you saw as you entered the room. I turned my head and looked up at the name of this exhibit, and well, I froze for a second. I was stunned. No, I was almost appalled. It was such a shock to me that I had something of a physical reaction to what I was looking at. It seemed to grasp me. I was genuinely upset or angry at how this prestigious museum could get something so simple so wrong. As a matter of fact, this was so unsettling to me that I immediately left the room to get my wife to show her. I found my wife and daughter back at the mock airplane set and told her that she had to see this. We entered back into the room with this exhibit and I said, "Look, they spelled it wrong." She wasn't quite sure why I was so exasperated and told me that it was just the bears, named after their creators. The spelling was wrong though, and it stood out to me like a bright, shining object in the sky. I had worked in a bookstore for some time, and in the children's department for that matter. I thought that it would be challenging to keep up on all the new and old books, so I would have bet $1 million, make that 2 million, that the bears that I was seeing were the Berenstain Bears. The exhibit was labeled the Berenstain Bears, however, and it wasn't right. I knew it and I felt it. I thought about it for a little bit, and even though it bothered me, I figured that I must have been crazy. We continued through the museum, and I just put that experience behind me, and I didn't think about it again. That was it for about 7 years, just a dormant thought. And then, one night, just last year in 2015, while browsing YouTube, I stumbled upon a video titled "Proof of a Parallel Universe? The Berenstain/Berenstain Bears." I remembered my experience in the museum from 7 years earlier, and I curiously watched this video, and suddenly everything changed. Why was this person freaking out over this in the same manner that I had? From there, it was like Pandora's box. I started to research it only a little to find out that many other people were experiencing this thing. It seemed like this big mass awakening had occurred in 2014. 2014 was a weird year for me, in that I felt like reality had shifted for me. Without going into it too much detail, I had an enormous impact on my life that year. But thankfully, I made it through. So that's pretty much it. A bizarre experience from 8 years ago. Perhaps this is all nonsense, or perhaps this is something more appropriate for the Twilight Zone. But there's something else. I thought Rod Sterling created the Twilight Zone. I just had a rude awakening on that one too. There are so many videos out there now on the Mandela effect, but a lot of videos I feel are just distractions. I just know my personal story, and it preceded any YouTube video by 7 years at least. Feel free to use this in a video series or in a book if you feel guided. Good luck, David. And that is the beginning and end of chapter 1 of my book, The Mandela Effect, Everything is Changing. And I promise to continue to read this book to you guys. I know it's been a while. I've been very busy. I've been traveling. At the moment, I'm actually in Ireland on a different time zone, and it's pouring rain outside, and it's cold, and I was planning to do this video for you guys outside. I'm actually staying on the water, or the marina here, and it was beautiful, but we had a terrible rainstorm and a windstorm today. So at least I could bring you a little bit of my voice and bring you a little bit more of the Mandela Effect book. If you are interested in the Mandela Effect, if you have the Mandela Effect and you haven't read my book yet, please go to Amazon.com and search for The Mandela Effect, Everything is Changing by Stasha Erickson. I have it on Kindle and paperback, and it's very affordable, and it is the largest base research novel that's been published to this date that is not debunking the effect or talking negatively about it. It's a 339-page book full of research, and we're only at chapter 1. So I hope you enjoyed this. If you're interested in supporting this channel, please visit me on Patreon. Anyone who donates even $1 per month on Patreon will receive any of the 3 books that I published in the last 2 years. You just check out my website, stashaerickson.com, click on the books tab, and check out the books that I have on Amazon for sale, and tell me which one you'd like. And when you donate on Patreon, I will send you that book via ebook format. And also, you can go to the Mandela Effect GoFundMe project, which will be in the description link of this video. And if you donate $1 or $5 or $10 or more, you will be featured in Volume 2 of the Mandela Effect Everything is Changing book series. Okay, guys, I hope you're well. Love and peace. Sorry, I've been coughing a lot through this video. I've been coming down with the cold because Ireland is freezing and cold and raining, and we had this freak snowstorm actually when I arrived called Storm Emma, and Ireland encountered piles and piles of snow like they've never seen in 60 years, and I happened to arrive here about a week ago on that day, so I caught a little bit of a chest cold, so sorry for the deep, scraggly voice and the coughing, but I've been promising you guys I would continue to read this series, and I want to keep up with my promises. So much love and peace. In Ireland we say Slán agus and farewell.